Hey there. So I got a question for ladies, women. Don't matter your race, don't matter anything. Less of a question, but more of a scenario, which comes with a question. So here's the scenario. I'll get the setting going for you. You're going at to some retailer, and you're looking at handbags, handbag after handbag after handbag, and you find that Chanel handbag. You got the money for it. You're set. You're ready to go. Maybe you just find one that's really nice. Maybe it's designer. Maybe it's not. You find one, but then after having wanted that bag for so long, because that's the one you went looking for in the first place before you went, you see another handbag, one that fits your status, one that fits your station, however you want to look at it. You want to define yourself by that handbag, or you want the handbag to define you. Either way. And you go and you put that one handbag down. Or maybe you bought that handbag, that first one, and you had it for a while. But then you see this other handbag. Either way, you buy one or you see one that you're going to buy and then you go to a different one. Then you look back and another woman comes up and decides that the other handbag was comfortable. It was just right for them. You look back at that woman, you think, wait a minute, I think I still want that handbag. But she walks off with it, and now you're mad. Now you're upset because, well, you want it now. So you look at this handbag that you got in your hand, and now it's like, well, shoot, do I really want this? Maybe I didn't. Now, let me ask you, if we were to compare that to any man that you looked at, that's the way a lot of men feel. You see him as a handbag, as a purchase, as something you can have under your control, under your arm, under what you want. And then when you trade up that handbag, even though it was reliable, even though it was what you wanted, even though it was something that you had set your mind on, and you go to that other handbag, the moment that first one gets taken by somebody else, becomes obsolete. If you haven't noticed this behavior, especially in yourself if you've done it until later on, one, it doesn't do you any good in that moment. Two, while you do have the right to change your mind, you have to not look at a handbag as a person and a person as a handbag. Now, I know I set up the scenario like that, but the scenario was to get the idea. This is to bring more reality and context to the situation itself. So think about it. And if a guy has ever done this, and I know there's guys out there that do it, but there's a lot less guys out there that do it. It's those guys who have the options. It's the guys who are the players that don't want to treat a woman like an individual, a human. But that handbag scenario is also women not treating men like humans. And if you can't see it that way, then that shows that you're really not trying to look at it from that perspective. You're not trying to get that angle, that point of view. Men the same, but because I'm speaking from a man's point of view, the question is put out there not just to think about, but to ask you. And I ask you from the safety of a recording because we can't have a back and forth, but you can leave comments. I mean, that's a given. Anybody who puts a video out on YouTube, you're opening yourself up for scrutiny no matter what. But I'm not trying to attack anybody. Every one of these videos is curiosity, and it's just to point out things that make you think. More or less. And what I want to do is I want to try to help eliminate through the questions that I ask any of the drama or any of the problems that could come up from the way of thinking. Because any person can give you a question, information, anything on that level. But how you respond to it, how you take it, that's where the sociability comes into play, socializing in between two people, and how we need to address the facts, how we need to keep it kosher when we can't assume that people are coming at us sideways with something. So me putting this on here, I was hoping would make it a lot easier to deal with something like that. I mean, we keep transitioning in between sets of decades to where race is an issue, race is no longer an issue, race is an issue, race is no longer an issue. I lived through the 80s and 90s. My childhood, I thought, was awesome. The 90s, during my teen years, that was my time to wake up to be an adult and to look at things a certain way and to ask certain questions and to understand things from a certain perspective. The objective of everybody's life is to find a peaceful way to become the best version of themselves. And when you make choices based on what you're used to, but you never learn how to make the right choices, how do you know that you're actually changing your mind based on proper aspects and all the right details? If you're used to what other people do around you, you're used to being exposed to that, seeing that, then how do you know who you are if you're doing what other people taught you? Guidance is good. Teaching is good. But if teaching does not have an end goal of betterment and non-conflict, you're going to have drama left and right. So my question that I asked you originally, and this question of where is your perspective at when it comes to choice and how you are as a human being? What is it that you hope to gain out of life? We got to think back to what we consider to be wise people. We've said this for many, many years. A lot of people don't agree, you know? And let's bring it into the race factor here for just a moment. A lot of people from the same race do not agree with wise people from their race. And a lot of people will not agree with wise people from another race. The reasons are never as simple as one reason, because every one person has a reason, which means that multiple reasons exist, and no two people immediately next to each other are going to have the exact same reason. Some people might. But when we look at the overall, that's why polls are important. That's why going to national government websites are important for stats. Statistics are basically, at some point or another, you gave up information, whether you were aware of it or not, that help them to categorize these specific things. Well, the government is no less than a human body when it comes to the mind. The way it works is they have to have all these different laws, different lists of reasons. It's a very overwhelming thing when it's not your life. We just have to follow those rules. But when it comes to each person, we are made up of all these different reasons. Your parents just didn't love each other and then they had a kid and hey, look, you had a happy family. You had one person meet another person and they had two individual ways of thinking. They came together, created you. So if you got created by two bodies that were all consistent of a list of reasons, they came individually from two people who did the same thing and had the same thing. Everybody is the same thing. Or same things, I should say. But each of those things can be the same or different. We have to think that when it comes to choice, life isn't just simply about making one. We're making a choice based on what we want the next part of it to be. The next connection to our life to be. Betterment. If we're not looking for betterment, we're not looking for anything that's actually going to take us anywhere and make us anything good. Stress is going to come and go. We don't want to add to that by not thinking things through. And I think the problem is we conflict with what we have to do, work, paycheck, bills, and what we want to do because of who we are as people. Excited, laid back, kind of in between. A helper, somebody who doesn't want to be around people. We all have reasons. That means we all have lives and minds. So, ladies, again, I ask, if you're making a choice on bag A and you go to bag B, but you come back to bag A, in that whole experience, what part of it made you better? And if it did make you better, well, then that's good. But if it didn't, then maybe you should think about why you're making the choice in the first place. Is it because of how you feel in the moment? Or is it because you want something, you truly want something out of it? Again, that was food for thought. Passing it on to you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk at you next time. Peace.